Breaking news, Jets fans. The New York Jets have reached an extension with Garrett Wilson. This breaking from Adam. And of course, during my first initial show where I was talking about how the Jets need to get the Sauce Gardner extension done. But of course, this is a huge deal reported by Adam Schefter moments ago. The New York Jets have agreed to a 4-year, $130 million extension, $90 million guaranteed. The first time in NFL history that a receiver has received an average over $31 million after playing only 3 seasons. Wilson's contract will be under the next 6 seasons through 2030 as the New York Jets have come to an agreement with Garrett Wilson, their star receiver. He is locked in before training camp, ladies and gentlemen. And this, of course, is huge news. Let's get your reactions here on the channel. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of this. If you're joining us in the podcast, make sure to give us a like and subscribe. You can check us out wherever podcasts are available. Some more news, of course, on this massive extension today. Of course, I joke on this channel because it seems like the biggest Jet stories tend to break when I am live. Especially the last 2 big extensions for the Jets. I was live when halfway through the Sherwood extension was announced. I tried to adjust the Sauce Gardner video. It wouldn't let me do that. So I decided that I was going to do a fully new episode for this. Garrett Wilson will not be the highest paid receiver. In my previous episode on Sauce Gardner, I said the Jets would look to try to make him between the 5th or 7th highest receiver paid. So you look at this right now, Garrett Wilson, again, for $130 million, just to give you an idea of some of the other contracts. The highest receiver contract right now is Jamar Chase, $161 million. Justin Jefferson, $140, CeeDee Lamb, $136, and DK Metcalf, $131. The average of $32.5 million is also the 5th one as well, behind those 4 and just ahead of A.J. Brown, who has $32 million for a year. Again, Garrett Wilson, this was a great day to get for Jets fans and Jets land. And look, I think this is something, too, where you love Garrett Wilson for how passionate he has been. But I think this is a signal that Garrett Wilson really believes in this Jets because he has been a guy who wears his emotions on his sleeve. You tell how important winning is for him, how much it means to him. But for me, this is something that is great because, again, I think that he has the potential to be a top 5 receiver in this league. It's a good financial ground for the Jets. Yes, it is a major payday, but they're still not paying him the highest paid receiver contract. It is 5th in the league. And again, seeing how these wide receiver contracts go, this will likely be a very big, like in 2 years will be what, the 10th probably yearly contract for a receiver. And I also think it is a very good sign that Garrett believes in this organization. Because of all the players that we were talking about locking up, and especially Sauce, I think, is the best example, Garrett has had to deal with the most turnover with offensive staff, offensive coordinators, with the quarterback position. I mean, what is it, 8 or 9 quarterbacks that he's played with since becoming a New York Jet? I think he feels that once this organization gets stabilized with Aaron Glenn, this is someone that you look for. Like when you talk about building a culture and a foundation, Garrett Wilson is a competitive person, a great leader, and the type of player that you as an organization want to build around. And this, to me, is a great start for Darren Muji because you got Garrett Wilson extended. You got a great player at what I feel is a fair deal. But more importantly, you were able to sell this player, this young man who we know how important, like if you are a Jet fan, you understand how important winning is to this player. And you understand how frustrated this player has been despite poor quarterback play. Like, let's be honest, Garrett Wilson is still an ascending player. And I don't think the league really understands how great of a player Garrett Wilson is because, let's be honest, Garrett Wilson really hasn't had the opportunity to show how great of a player he can be. He hasn't had the opportunity to show how good he can be with consistent quarterback play or with the consistent quarterback. He knows who his quarterback's going to be next year. He has a rapport with Justin Fields. But to me, this was a huge win for the Jets because the Jets were able to convince Garrett Wilson, because Garrett Wilson, we know how bad he wants to win. And let's be honest with us as Jet fans. If Garrett Wilson went to the front office and said privately, look, guys, it's been a rough few years. I've given everything I had to this organization. I just want to win. I just don't, it's not even about the money. I just want to go to a place where I can compete. I just don't see myself having a long-term future here. And the Jets traded him. Deep down as Jet fans, we'd be pissed. We'd be frustrated, but we'd also look, we get it. We understand what Garrett Wilson has gone through with Zach Wilson, Mike White, Aaron Rodgers, Tyrod Taylor, like all these different quarterbacks. And despite the quarterback play, despite the revolving door at quarterback, despite having offensive coordinators that seemingly at times didn't seem to have a game plan, or an offensive coordinator who didn't realize that Breece Hall could catch the ball out of the backfield until halfway through a season, Garrett Wilson has still been an incredible player. Garrett Wilson is still someone that has produced over 1,000 yards receiving every single season. He had his best season with 7 touchdowns this year. 101 catches, his highest in his career. He is an ascending player. He is a focal player. And at merely 24, going to be 25 years old, he is still an ascending superstar within this league and a key building block for this organization. And I thought Sauces would be the first one done, if I'm to be honest with you guys, frankly, because I thought Sauces, in a weird way, in which I was talking about in the previous episode, would be an easier contract to figure out. You just make him the highest paid corner in the league, $100 million. Where with Garrett, I'm like, there's got to be some nuance to it. I really don't believe the Jets are going to make him the highest paid wide receiver in the league, and they didn't. And you look at the numbers, like, this is a fair deal. This is a fair deal for an unbelievable player who is an ascending player, who's someone that I feel like we talk about this a lot as Jet fans. There are certain players we fall in love with because of how important winning is to them. I think with Jamal Adams is a player that we fell in love with what he could do on the field because we just were so devoid of talent. But Garrett Wilson has given this organization what I believe is their best receiver in the history of the franchise. A guy that is an incredible leader, a guy that is someone that you admire. Like, we talk about certain athletes being great role models. And when I think of Garrett Wilson, I think he is a model of what you want in a football player and as a team leader. And when I look at this deal, this is a good deal because it really impacts a lot of different people for this organization. And let's go into that. Again, guys, you want to give your reactions, your comments. We'd love to hear from you about the Garrett Wilson signing. You can jump to the front of the line using the super chat feature at any time. Again, comment section is open. Would love to hear from you guys. Make sure to comment on the video so we can get you in here as well. But here's a couple of things I look at for this organization. Why this is, to me, a very good sign for this new regime. Let's start at the top. Let's start with Darren Muji. Darren Muji is a new GM. Darren Muji has never been a first-time general manager. And this seemed like this could have been an opportunity where Garrett Wilson could have just said, you know what? I've had terrible quarterback play. The only way I'm going to stick around here is if you make me the highest paid receiver in the NFL. And you know what? A lot of people would say, you know what? He has every right to do that. But Darren Muji sees the talent that this player is, how important he is to the organization, and he got the deal done. And more importantly, he got this done before training camp. And I get the feeling now that this is off the table Sauce will be coming shortly along. Hopefully that doesn't break during this episode like the previous one. I literally was live talking about, hey, let's get the Sauce extension done. And literally halfway through that video, I have to come on and redo it because basically Garrett Wilson gets extended. But I think it would send a big message to this fan base because this fan base is just looking for hope. And I think just locking in arguably the two bedrocks of this franchise in Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner are going to do a lot to help this fan base's psyche, which has been so damaged, especially over the last 15 years, and the last 2 years have just gone so horrendously wrong. But I also think this is a testament to this coaching staff because, like I said at the beginning of this video, if Garrett Wilson in private told the Jets, hey, man, I play with all these different quarterbacks. I don't love the quarterback situation. I just want to leave. We would be upset, but I do get a lot of Jet fans would be like, you know what? Garrett's every right to feel that way because we never put a great quarterback around him. We never put a good offensive mind around him. And to me, this is a great thing for the Jets because it tells me that that Garrett Wilson's bought in, that Garrett Wilson buys what Aaron Glenn and Tanner Engstrom are telling him. He is buying this offensive scheme. He is buying this Justin Fields as his quarterback. Because Garrett Wilson could have easily just said, you know what, I'm going to play out this contract and go to free agency. I don't care. Garrett Wilson could have easily said, you know what, I don't want an extension here, trade me. If he didn't believe in this coaching staff, and I'd get it. I think a lot of us Jet fans, we'd be pissed in the moment, but we'd say at the end of the day, you know what, Garrett, you're right. You have every right to doubt this regime, but it tells me he really believes in Aaron Glenn. He believes in his new offensive staff. He believes in his quarterback. I mean, this to me is a very good sign if you have doubts about Justin Fields. Now, again, don't expect Justin Fields to be a top 10 quarterback in this league, but do I think with Justin Fields, the chemistry he has with Garrett Wilson, do I think Justin Fields could be a top half NFL quarterback, a quarterback that can win games with his legs, can make a few big splashy plays? I do. I think that he can make this a competitive team. And, you know, you look around, Garrett Wilson's telling you, I believe in my quarterback, I believe in this organization, and I believe in this new regime. Because he could have said, look, the last regime drafted me. The last regime was the one that was loyal to me. I don't owe you guys anything. But instead, he's gone with the Jets. He's told the Jets what he thinks, and he is here for the long term. And again, if you want to use that super chat feature, jump to the front of the line, you can do that anytime. Make sure to put your comments in the video as well. Would love to hear from you guys. Please let us know what your thoughts are on the Garrett Wilson extension. Again, breaking during the show. Some more insight from Adam Schefter. Again, for Garrett Wilson, just so you have some more of the particulars. The average will be 32.5 per year, the fifth highest for a receiver. He will be under contract for the next 6 seasons. So again, this is the last year of his rookie deal. The Jets picked up the 5th-year option, and then these are 4 years tacked on. So basically, Garrett Wilson is here for 6 years. The other big thing, too, is when you look at the contract, the 32.5 cap number will not be coming into effect until the 2027 season. And when you're looking at how the cap is jumping out between 15 to 20 million, by the time we get to that point, it might not be as big of a contract. Like I was saying, we see the receiver numbers just keep going up and up for contracts. I will not be surprised by the time we get to when this contract officially kicks in. Garrett Wilson might be in the 9th or 10th on average highest paid receiver in the league. That to me is very important. He's also the first Jets first-round pick to be extended after a 3rd season under the new rookie wage scale, which is something which is not a good stat for the Jets when you look at how their contracts have gone in their first-round pick. And it's the 9th highest APY as percentage of the cap at signing for a wide receiver. So again, these numbers, again, they're high, but at the end of the day, you look at this contract and you're going, you know what? This is a great deal for Garrett, but you look at the Jets, you're going, you know what? That's not bad for the Jets. That's really not that bad. And if you can get Sauce locked in, you start looking like, okay, these cap numbers, maybe there's a way that basically they can afford to keep Jermaine Johnson. Maybe there's different ways to take care of this. But look, this to me is a big deal for Jets fans because we have seen a lot of talented players come and go for this Jet team. And seeing someone this talented locked up long-term is exciting. To me, the last really talented player that we saw with the Jets where they kind of fumbled the situation was Jamal Adams. Now, again, at the end of the day, it worked out for the Jets because they got an unbelievable trade package. But I remember at the time, there were a lot of Jet fans that, despite what they got in return, were upset because it was one of the best Jet players and the most exciting players the Jets fans had seen, and someone that brought energy to this team, made them watchable in certain aspects, and they were just trading him away. Now, ironically, that trade would also bring back Elijah Vera Tucker and the man himself that just got extension in Garrett Wilson, so you can thank Jamal Adams trade for that. But to me, this is an incredibly exciting day if you are a New York Jets fan, because this is a guy who we've seen blossom into one of the more talented offensive players in franchise history. They have locked him in. And let's be honest, like, if you are looking down the road, this is a great building block for this team. Like, let's play the hypothetical game, shall we? If you are looking at a quarterback next season, like let's say Justin Fields, it doesn't work out what the Jets are hoping. Garrett Wilson being a part of this offense is a big, big piece and an attractive piece, especially if you're a young quarterback. I think that is going to be a big selling point. Now, the trickle-down effect to this will also be the money allocation, because while this is still a good, I think a more favorable deal for the Jets and the organization, there's also going to be trickle-down effect to this. How does it affect other players? I mean, we've talked AVT a little bit. We've obviously talked Sauce Gardner. I think Jermaine Johnson's a big one. But I would not be surprised if at the end of the day, one guy on the outside looking in could potentially be Breece Hall. Now, again, maybe the Jets can lock him in for a reasonable deal. I feel like the Jets are going to play the franchise tag game with him. I think they're going to do a franchise tag for at least a season. But at the end of the day, you only have so much of the pie you can divvy up. And we know Sauce is going to get a big piece. We know Garrett's now gotten his piece. You wonder how this team's going to evaluate Jermaine Johnson, how they're going to evaluate AVT, how they're going to evaluate McDonald. And again, I know I've said this a lot with Will McDonald. A lot of people have rolled their eyes at me when I've said that it's a little early for extension talk. For me, it isn't. Because Will McDonald, we forget, the Jets didn't have a double-digit sack guy until Bryce Huff, and we all lost our minds when the Jets didn't bring him back. Will McDonald, in his second year, was a double-digit sack guy. If he's a 12 or 13 sack guy this year, that number is just going to keep going up. Like, I'm someone that is, if you feel the talent is there and he's a great player, lock him in early. That's how I would feel about that. You look at this other thing, too. Garrett Wilson has played in every single game for the Jets since 2022. He has topped 1,000 yards in each season, despite having 7 different quarterbacks. You look at Garrett Wilson's productive. He's just one of 5 players in NFL history record 1,000 receiving yards and 80 receptions in his first 3 seasons. The other 4 were Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Odell Beckham Jr., and Michael Thomas, which is pretty good company. So you look to like the 2022 draft class will definitely be interesting because, again, we also have to keep in mind that there's other players in that draft class. We've talked extensively about Sauce, but Jermaine Johnson will be another one. They've already picked up the 5th-year option. Breece Hall, of course, the 36th pick in round 2. Jeremy Ruckert. Now, again, I don't think they're rushing to get Jeremy Ruckert. Max Mitchell, I think, depending on the price. But then, of course, Michael Clemens, who I think a lot of people are saying, how is he still with the organization at this point? But look, Garrett Wilson is an incredibly talented player. And I feel like when I talk about Garrett Wilson to non-Jet fans, people are like, oh, you know, he only gets the attention because he's in New York. He only gets the attention because of Aaron Rodgers. He only gets this attention. But you look at the production. You look at how he's been healthy. You look at how he's had the 1,000 yards. Like I mentioned that list. Jamar Chase is likely going to be a Hall of Famer. Justin Jefferson is likely going to be a Hall of Famer. Odell Beckham Jr., had he not gotten hurt and lost track, probably would have been a Hall of Famer. Same thing with Michael Thomas. I mean, these were guys who, when they were in the league, were like, these are guys that are probably going to be in Canton. And that's the list of guys who have been as productive as early as Garrett Wilson. And now, look, the big thing is now the eyes will turn to Sauce Gardner. And I do think that will get done sooner than later. Although it is interesting, some I guess it's somewhat Jets-related news. Mike Williams is now on the PUP list for the Chargers. So just a former Jet there. But you look that this to me is how important this is for Jet fans, because we knew how much Garrett meant to the fan base. We understood how much ownership really cared about Garrett. But the biggest thing to me this offseason was, would Garrett Wilson buy in to this culture with Aaron Glenn? Now, for Sauce, I think it was a little easier. Again, Aaron Glenn's a defensive coach. He played the position Sauce played. He's had a tremendous success in the NFL. He's been a tremendous defensive coordinator. To me, Garrett was the hardest one to sell, because you had to sell Garrett. Garrett, we're bringing in Justin Fields. How do you feel about him as a quarterback? And I think we now know how he feels about Justin Fields as a quarterback. Garrett, we have a whole new offensive scheme, a whole new plan. We're going to have a whole new offensive coordinator, Tanner Engstrom. To be honest with you, Garrett, we're not probably going to have a lot of great, talented receivers around you. You don't have Devontae Adams as your number 2. I mean, there's a lot of things you looked at it like, would Garrett Wilson be okay with that? Would he be okay with not having a great running mate? Would he be okay with Justin Fields being his quarterback? Would he be okay with likely an offense that's going to run a lot more 12 personnel, that's going to run the ball and make that an emphasis of the offense? But to me, I think it is a great sign with this extension that not only does Garrett Wilson believe in Aaron Glenn as a coach and as a leader and as a program builder, but he believes in this front office. He believes in this new regime that is coming in, and he believes in their vision because he had the leverage. If Garrett Wilson wanted to, he said, you know what? I've been here 3 years. I've given you 3,000 yards of production. I don't see it getting better. I don't see you getting me a good quarterback. I want out. Or I don't care about the money you're going to give me. I want to play with a great team and win. But Garrett committed. And I think it is very telling. And I think that's exciting as Jet fans right now, where we're looking at a player that we see how important winning is to him, how much he wants to be a part of the culture. But seeing him believe in this new staff, I think, is incredibly important. And I also think a lot of us were worried about how the last staff kind of wrote Garrett Wilson off. I remember last year when Devontae Adams came in, I think Garrett, maybe he wants something to prove. Maybe that's part of this. Because remember, Devontae's coming in, Garrett. He's going to be your Robin. And instead, the last 8 weeks of the season was, let's have Aaron Rodgers pitch and catch with each other, to the point where there was the one play, he throws it to Devontae. Devontae throws it back to Aaron. Aaron throws it back to Devontae. It's like, okay, they're just playing catch these last 8 weeks. And Garrett got phased out of the offense, which was the dumbest thing I think I've ever seen, and frustrated the hell out of Jet fans. I think a lot of us were in the back of our head going, is this going to piss Garrett Wilson off and make him not want to stay here, be with the Jets? Because, like, Aaron Rodgers is supposed to be this elite quarterback. Garrett Wilson's running wide open in the middle of the field, but now I'm going to try to force into double coverage for Allen Lazard or Devontae Adams for the 50th time. So, like, again, the big thing I also take out of this too is this is a deal that this is the big one to get done. But you look at this, the Jets had to get this done, because if you look, Garrett Wilson could have just waited this out and see the price go up. I mean, we saw it with Sauce. We've seen the corner market explode and the corner numbers go up. Now, again, I don't think that Garrett would be a top 3 paid receiver, but if in the coming weeks we have some of these younger receivers get new deals, that's just another deal that you have to weigh in as a front office and say, well, that guy got that money, but look, I haven't missed a game. He's missed 5. I have, 1,000 yards each season. They only had 1. It would just move up basically and just make it more difficult. You look at also too, this is someone that you look at too. this is someone that they want to build their offense around. We talk about building around the quarterback. I think Garrett Wilson is going to be someone that they are going to build around. And you look, this is another thing that has driven us nuts as fans. This franchise, and again, I think part of the reason is because of the lack of success of players that haven't been jumping to get extended. But over the last 10 plus years, this team, they've not extended guys early. Even Quinnen took a bit longer than we wanted. But you look, there's certain extensions that we have to keep in mind, two of which I think we don't talk about. John Simpson on the offensive line and AVT. I mean, those are two good guards that we're going to have to look at extensions. And again, I'm not saying they're going to be the sexiest extensions, but they're damn important. And to me, if you are a Jet fan, you do feel a lot better about this team today and this organization as a front office. Because I think a lot of us felt, I mean, let's be frank, and I was talking about on the previous episode with Sauce, I thought Garrett's would take to the end of camp to get done, if I'm honest. I thought it was going to take to the end of camp. But I'm very happy to say, you know what? I'm glad it didn't take to the end of camp. I'm glad they were able to knock it out. I'm glad they were able to figure it out, and I'm glad they were able to get it done and get it done early. If this Jet regime, and I think they're going to get Sauce done before camp or done before the end of the preseason. Sorry, I hit the mic with my chin on that, so my apologies, especially for the podcast listeners. You get that little bit in your ear. My big thing is, one thing I want to see, I think John Simpson's an interesting one, and maybe not even before camp, but just before the end of the year. If they're able to lock up AVT, let's say, or John Simpson, or like I've been saying, Will McDonald, I think that will be a really good positive because so many times the Jets have waited too long to extend players. And either they play it wrong with the value and they have to overpay, or they let great players like Bryce Huff walk. I mean, Bryce Huff was someone that we've been waiting for, a double-digit sack guy since John Abraham. We finally get him, and he walks out the door. Now, again, I know a lot of people say, well, he was terrible with the Eagles. He's going to the San Francisco. Like, in the Jets scheme, he fit incredibly well. I think he will fit very well in San Francisco. I think he will revert back to what he was more at the Jets, more of a pass rusher, a specialist, but someone that will definitely be able to make an impact in both assets of the game. But I really especially think in the passing game. I'm surprised, guys. I want to see in the comments, what are your thoughts on the Garrett Wilson extension? What are your thoughts on the Sauce extension? Again, guys, comments, use the super chat to jump to the front of the line. But if you want to make a comment or a question for the channel, make sure to reach out. Again, super excited about the Garrett Wilson extension. Again, you got to be, and this is the reason you got to watch Rich Sports Talk, ladies and gentlemen. Give us a like and subscribe, is because apparently Jets extensions just happened during our live shows. The Sherwood extension happened during our show. Now, today we had literally in the middle of Sauce Gardner. I'm like, you know what? Let me just double check Twitter. And literally 30 seconds after, it was 30 seconds after Schefter had dropped. And I was just so excited about that. But this is someone that I'm looking for as someone that will definitely be a major piece. And, this is someone that I'm incredibly excited that the Jets have kept around. He's an unbelievable player that basically has been a great model citizen within the organization. And look, this is something that needed to be done. This is something that the Jets fans deserved. I mean, the Jets have been through so much, let's be honest, so much the last 15 years. Like, again, this doesn't mean the Jets are going to the playoffs. It doesn't mean the Jets are an instantly better team. But you know what? They have an answer instead of a question. They have an answer. Who's their number one receiver for the next 6 years? It's Garrett Wilson, number 5. They know who that is. We know that Garrett Wilson will be a part of this organization. Where, to be honest with you, a couple months ago, if I'm frank, I could see a scenario where he wasn't a part of this rebuild. And you know what? A part of me would understand it as well. But I'd love to hear from you guys. Make sure to reach out in the comments. Use the super chat, jump to the front of the line. Your thoughts on the Garrett Wilson extension. Look, I am just head over heels for this. because this to me is a great signing. It's a great number to get Garrett Wilson. And I think cap-wise, it leaves a lot for the Jets to maneuver around with, to try to keep other key pieces on his team. And I think part of it too is Garrett Wilson wanted to make sure that he had a deal where they can afford other guys. And this to me is a very good signing. I think if Garrett didn't believe in this ownership, and John Simpson, of course, retweeting how excited he is. So hopefully we can get John Simpson extension as well. So I just look at this too, that this is a great extension basically for the Jets, because you lock in a great receiver, a great building block. And let's be honest, you look at great wide receivers in the NFL, there's a lot of really good ones, but I think Garrett Wilson is one of those ones in such a short class of how much he can do, how much he brings to the table, what he can do. He can attack all three levels of a defense. He's incredibly good in space. He can take the top off the defense. There's very little that he can't do. And to me, this is someone that when you look for, this is someone too, this might not be his last payday. When you look at the contract, he'll be 30. We've seen receivers at the age of 30, maybe not 4 or 5 year deals, but Garrett Wilson might be able to get 2 bites out of the freaking apple. So, and the other thing too is this is some good foresight for the Jets, because you look, the number for receivers is only go up. Because think about this. We look at this contract, and I talked about this a little bit earlier. Like, there might be a chance, just a chance, that by the end of this season, even this, looking down the road, might be on average, this might be a 9th or 10th value. Think about all the receivers that are going to get a bite out of the apple. I mean, you look too, like A.J. Brown got a huge contract at $32.5 million, but I do think that is going to be a bargain eventually. Like, think about all the receivers who are going to need extensions over the next coming years or the coming years. Puka Nacua, Nico Collins, Terry McLaurin, Michael Pittman, Drake London, Malik Neighbors, Chris Olave, Jamison Williams, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Rashee Rice. I mean, these are all receivers that are going to be owed contracts over the next couple of seasons. And I will get the feeling that their annual average, because this is the way the NFL works, will be around or above what Garrett Wilson is getting paid. So, yes, $31 million a year seems like a lot now. And I do think Sauce, at least at the start, will be, if not number one, the number 2 highest annually paid corner. But we might look back at this at the end of the next season, or even the start of the 2026 season, like, the Jets contract hasn't even officially kicked in yet, and it seems like they're getting a bargain for what is out there. I mean, think about all those receivers I just named. All those receivers. You know Puka's going to get a contract. Nico Collins, Terry McLaurin, Michael Pittman. Now, McLaurin and Pittman are a little bit older, so maybe they'll get a higher annual average, but a shorter contract. But you look, Drake London, Malik Neighbors, Chris Olave, Jamison Williams, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Rashee Rice. Like, how many is that right there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 receivers. And that's just 13. There's other receivers out there. That's just 13 of them. 13 that are going to get upgraded, that are going to get paid, that are going to get more contracts bigger than that. I mean, he's the 5th APY right now for receivers. But I do think that is going to eventually get dwarfed by other contracts. That will be dwarfed by other major contracts. And you look, he's still, even today, he's the 5th highest paid receiver. He's not number 1. DK, CD, Justin, and Jamar are have him. So it's good to see that the Jets have locked in what I believe is their best offensive player, someone that is incredibly productive despite 8 different quarterbacks, someone that the Jets can build around, that they can rely on. And look, To me, this to me is the best thing, because the biggest thing you wanted was you want to see the culture change and you want to see the players buy into this new regime. And to me, the signal that Garrett Wilson, despite having all these different quarterbacks, despite having terrible offensive stats, despite having a new OC who he has never played a down for, has sold him to stay here for this contract and has sold him that they have the vision that they are going to turn the New York Jets around and be successful, to me, is the most encouraging aspect of this. If I had to guess, Sauce will be right after this extension. I think Sauce will, of course, if he's not the number one, will be the number 2 in terms of average a year. And look, with Garrett Wilson, he is incredibly productive. But this is someone that is a homegrown player, a homegrown star, a homegrown icon for this team. And when it's all said and done, will likely be the best receiver in this franchise's history. Someone that, if he continues along this path, we might have a conversation about him ending back in Ohio at the end of his football career, just in a certain hall, if you know what I'm saying. But again, I think that this is incredibly exciting if you are the Jets. This is huge breaking news. This is someone that you knew the Jets had to keep, and I am just excited that they are able to include this. Now, again, this is also funny, too, because earlier today, Juwan Jennings is looking for a new contract as well, or else he will be traded. I mean, look, the Jets locked in Garrett. That, to me, is absolutely huge. That is a huge building block, and I think the biggest thing about this contract is that this will be a contract that when we look back on it in a couple of years, we will think will be a bargain for this team. Again, guys, make sure to give your reactions in the comments. Super chat to jump to the front of the line. What are your thoughts on the Garrett Wilson extension? Again, see, we got some people here in the live stream. Make sure to reach out, comment below your thoughts. Let us know what you're thinking about right now. Let us know what your thoughts on the Garrett Wilson extension. Do you think it's the right amount? Do you think it is? Do you think that the Jets could have done a little bit better? Again, live chat is open. Make sure to jump in there as soon as you can so you can give us all your opinions. But look, I'm just thrilled that Garrett Wilson is going to be here for another 6 years. This isn't just a 4-year extension. He has 1 more year on his rookie deal. They have the 5th-year option. This will kick in basically at the end of the 2026 season. So 2027, 28, 29, and 30. And again, this is a good contract too, where Garrett Wilson will be 30. Probably won't get a 4-year contract, but will have an opportunity to, again, get another bite of the apple if he's incredibly productive, which I think he will be. But I think this shows that he's invested in the Jets. He's invested in Aaron Glenn. He's invested in his offensive staff. And he's also invested in this quarterback with Justin Fields. I have this feeling, I don't think the Jets would say it publicly, but I think one of the reasons that Justin Fields is here is because they went to Garrett and said, Garrett, what do you think about Justin Fields? I think that he was a major part of the reason Justin Fields came here, but also why this staff believed in him. Because I believe Garrett Wilson said, look, he's a competitor. He's someone that I play with. And I know he's someone that can win. And look, I think that this is a great opportunity for Justin Fields. I mean, this is really the big opportunity for Justin Fields because he's going to go to a team that has been starving for a quarterback, but a team that now he has rapport with Jeremy Ruckert, but more importantly, with this team's number 1 receiver. I think last year, Justin Fields showed flashes of growth, but again, he was with a new team, with a whole new staff, with receivers they didn't have necessarily familiarity with. And even in Chicago, I don't think he's had a receiver or a weapon. He's had weapons in his career, but he hasn't had a weapon like Garrett Wilson. And that connection they had with Garrett Wilson, I think, is going to be a major impact. And now with this contract, the Jets can now start to build up their roster because now they know what the financial numbers are going to be. They now know how much they've invested in the receiver position. So now I think what you're also going to see too is this team likely, and again, this is really looking out, if they're going to add to this receiving room, will probably be blow-in 1-year deals and try to go to the draft to not pay a lot of money because you're investing a ton of money in Garrett Wilson. Look, I think it's money well spent, but you look at the corner position. One of the reasons DJ Reason here is I think this team knew they're paying Sauce Gardner a lot of money. So I think some big things too is One thing I would like to see, and I talked about this earlier, is I would like to see this team get other extensions done early. I want to see a John Simpson extension done early. I want to see an AVT one. I think Will McDonald's another one. Again, I keep bringing up McDonald. I know I keep beating that dead horse, but that is someone that I think is an incredibly talented defensive player, and I think you got to lock him up earlier before that number just keeps going up. Because if he gets another double-digit sack season, he's going to get a huge contract. Because there are very few pass rushers in the NFL that can give you that type of production year in and year out. But once again, guys, your final chance to get in here for the chat. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Garrett Wilson extension. We'd love to hear from you, especially some of our loyal listeners. Again, always appreciate the content that you help give me and also some of the questions and suggestions you give me. So again, if you have any comments that you would like to put into here or talk about or any questions, please do that as soon as possible as we wrap up the show today. I want to get the last call in for those questions as well. But look, this is definitely an exciting day for the New York Jets because we've talked about this. And I think a lot of us kind of were gearing up just with the history of this organization. Like, hey, Garrett's probably going to get done, but it's probably going to be through training camp. It's probably going to be like at the end of this, right before the season, but it'll be a major talking point throughout training camp. And it'll be a question every day. What's the Garrett extension? When's that coming up? When are they going to be able to get that extension done? Is it in the works? Is it close to being done? But they've nipped that in the butt. And especially if they get the Sauce deal done, those are the two big contracts that get done before training camp. When have the Jets ever gotten stuff done in a timely manner? Like ever with any of their GMs? I mean, with Joe Douglas, we were screaming at him, extend Bryce Huff, extend Bryce Huff, extend Bryce Huff. Then the end of the season comes up, it's like, oh, it's a little too much money. We don't really have the budget to do that. So you just look at this regime. They have two huge building blocks. They have an unbelievable wide receiver and Sauce Gardner, who I think will be an unbelievable asset, especially under Aaron Glenn. And this to me is a very important thing because we've looked at how the quarterback market has developed over the last 10 years. We've also seen the wide receiver market explode. This timing to me is great because now I think a lot of teams around the league are actually pissed about this because you look, the Jets got this deal done, but there is a lot of receivers that are coming up for contracts or that are working on contracts. We just talked about Juwan with the 49ers. Now, again, he's not in the same class as Garrett, but there's a lot of receivers now. If another contract went off the board or another couple contracts went off the board, all of a sudden Garrett Wilson and his agents will be like, hey, we're more production than him, healthier than him. We've done more, gotten more touchdowns than him. I mean, just think about this. These are guys that are going to get extensions soon. And I brought it up earlier, but for those of you just joining us, these are just not all of them. These are just a handful of receivers that are going to get extensions. Puka Nacua, Nico Collins, Terry McLaurin, Drake London, Michael Pittman, Malik Neighbors, Jameson Williams, Chris Olave, Jackson Smith and Jiba, Zay Flouters, Rashee Rice, and Jordan Addison. That's 13 receivers I just rattled off that are going to get extensions in the short term. I have a feeling that at the end of this, the Garrett Wilson extension is going to look like a real winner. So all I can say is good job by the New York Jets. Good job by Darren Muji on getting this contract done. Good job for Aaron Glenn for selling the culture to Garrett Wilson. But most importantly, congratulations to Garrett Wilson, because this is someone that has put in everything he could to the sport. He is someone that has bled for this team. He is someone that is trying to change the culture of this team and that cares about winning. He cares about bringing success to this organization. And for him and his family, I just want to say congratulations, because there are very few players I think we have seen in the last 15 years that we have seen put in this much effort and been this successful with the New York Jets. And despite all the obstacles for him, the terrible coaching, the terrible game planning, 7 different quarterbacks, He has been arguably one of the most productive receivers in the NFL. And I do think at the end of the day, he will go down as the best Jets receiver in franchise history. So it's a great day to be a New York Jets fan. There's a lot of excitement, but more importantly, for Garrett Wilson and his family, this is a huge day and a day that is well-deserved and a day that I know he's been probably dreaming about since he was selected at the 2022 draft with the 10th overall pick. So congratulations to Garrett Wilson. Hopefully Sauce Gardner's deal gets done soon. But we'll be back, of course, with more great New York Jets content. Check us out wherever podcasts are available, and make sure to hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of our live streams because, again, apparently all the Jets extensions get done. So knowing the laws of the universe, the next live stream, the Sauce Gardner deal will get done. But thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for checking in on our earlier video today. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next time here on Rich Sports Talk.